Say listen to them.
All right, good morning, everyone. This is Maria from Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and we welcome all our guests. We're here in Harrisburg with Dave Lloyd and with Omer. We are ready to start this wonderful program called Summer Food Service Program. So we're going to be showing a short video shortly, but if this is your first time joining us for a webinar, I just wanted to show you a couple housekeeping things. In the upper right corner, you should see an orange arrow. That's your control slider. So you can have it come in and out, so you can have other features to show. You have joined in listen-only mode, but we do want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions, so please send us your questions via the chat box, and we will answer them at the end of the session and possibly throughout. And we can also, you can raise your hand. There's a little icon for a hand, and we can have you then raise your hand and we can unmute you so we can hear your voice. All right, so that's the housekeeping. Little orange arrow is your control center, in and out, to make sure that you have all the features listed with the chat screen. All right, I'm going to start with introductions. As I said, my name is Maria DeSabella. I'm the training coordinator here at Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. I'm here with Dave Lloyd, Youth Programs Manager. Shout out. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. This is Dave, and in youth programs, we not only do the summer feeding program, we do school pantries, CACFP, which is Kids Cafe, breakfast programs, and backpack programs. Welcome.
Thanks, Dave. So nice to have you join us here. And also in my office, we have Omer from the Pennsylvania Department of Education. Let's have him give a shout out.
Hi, everybody. My name is Omer, and I'm the administrative assistant to the program, the Summer Food Service Program. I'm happy to be here.
Very good. All right, and in Lancaster, let's have a shout out from Bill Simonson, who is the Breakfast Outreach Coordinator in Lancaster. So Bill, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Bill Simonson. I'm also a member of Hunger Free Lancaster County, and I do work with many of our summer sites and after-school sites here in Lancaster County.
Very good. I'm going to pass it to Diane, who is in a different Harrisburg office. So Diane, please introduce yourself.
Hi, good morning. My name is Diane DeBullis. I am the manager for the the summer feeding programs at PDE.
Perfect, perfect. And Pam Hicks, she's in our Williamsport branch. Please say hello, Pam.
Hi, Maria and everyone.
Hey, Pam. Hi, Pam. All right, very good. So we have a wonderful set of panelists to help us guide us through our today's session. We are going to be starting showing a short little video to give you an idea about the program. Then I'm going to pass it over to Dave, and we're going to be sharing a PowerPoint. So here's the short video.
Except I can't mute it.
The Pennsylvania Department of Education stands ready to help those work of feeding kids. Often the first step is to recognize the need. Then, look at locations where children can gather, like playgrounds, church basements, trailer courts, or low-income. The Department of Education provides guidelines and advice to help your group through the process.
The budgeting of the program does take a little bit of time in the beginning, but it's before the program starts. Once the program gets rolling, it's one of the easiest programs I've ever run.
What you do with the summer program is you record what you purchase and how much it costs and what you used. It's really very simple and doesn't take that much time once you get to learn the process.
Anytime I have a question, a concern, I just pick up the phone, give them a call, they give me the answer that I need immediately.
Sometimes those questions are about food choices and safety. Food choices are important but not too complicated. The guidelines are basic: a serving of meat, bread, fruit, vegetable, and milk. While many children are traditionalists who favor the old standbys like hot dogs, menus should also be expanded to encourage children to try healthier alternatives. To keep food safe, food handlers wear gloves and hairnets or visors. Maintaining proper food temperatures will require the use of insulated boxes and coolers to ensure that meals are delivered safely. Then, constant checking assures proper temperatures are maintained. Discovering innovative ways to connect kids with a healthy lunch can be
Okay, perfect. We also had another panelist join us while we were getting organized. Whitney, if you're able to unmute yourself and introduce yourself as well.
Me, all right.
All right, very good. Please repeat. I had you on mute. Go ahead, Whitney. Tell us who you are.
Sure, no problem. Yes, hi, good morning everyone. My name is Whitney DePowell and I am the Nutrition Coordinator for Capital Area Head Start. We're a partner agency with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. I am also, on more of a personal note, an MPH candidate at Temple University. So I'm pursuing my Master's of Public Health in Social and Behavioral Sciences, and of course with public health, we're very invested in working in the community, and of course good, adequate nutritional care is one of those top priorities. So I am partnering with David Lloyd and the youth programs at the food bank, and I am working on developing a summer food service curriculum. So I'm not sure if I am technically an expert, but I have been sort of saturated with all of this information, not only last semester, so starting in September, but I am working on finalizing the project through May of this year. So it's been a wonderful opportunity, and thank you for having me this morning.
Perfect. Well done. Thank you so much. Welcome. Now we're going to pass it to Dave, who's going to be starting to share about the PowerPoint, and you should be seeing the slides on your screen. Dave.
Good morning, everyone. The summer feeding program is for children that are 18 years of age and younger, and it provides nutritious meals to children in low-income communities. As we know, learning does not end when school lets out, neither does the need for good nutrition. The summer food service program is good, nutritious food that's in when school is out. The summer food service program was created to ensure that children in low-income areas could continue to receive nutritious meals during long school vacations when they do not have access to school lunch or breakfast. Clearly, nutrition needs of a large number of children who depend on free reduced price meals during school are not being met in the summer. Good nutrition is essential for learning. Without your help, not only may these children experience hunger, they may not return to school ready to learn. And as just a side note, at different times I do have to deliver to different sites, and one particular day a little girl came up to me and said, I'm glad you're here. I've been waiting since yesterday. This was lunchtime. I've been waiting since yesterday to get something to eat. So there definitely is a need out there. Next slide, please. There are two ways you can be a sponsor, or you could just be a site underneath the sponsorship. We are a sponsor at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. This is going to be going into our 4th year. We started with 11 sites our first year, and now we had 66 last year, and we're going to look to expand. Pam Hickson, our northern tier, is very diligent in expanding in that area. But I'll let Omer talk about what a sponsor is and how to become a sponsor. Omer?
Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Omer. I'm the administrative assistant with the Summer Food Service Program in Harrisburg. So the way the program works on an administrative level is sponsors who are nonprofit organizations will join the program by signing the agreement. And there are, I believe, 8 more documents that need to be completed, sent to the agency, and then that sets up the sponsorship. Sites are locations where children will gather and enjoy their meals. That's the difference between those two. The sponsor is basically the organization that takes on the task of administrating the program. The sites are the locations where children will eat. Now, you could join the program at 2 levels. You could become the sponsor and have a site or several sites under you, if that's what you care for doing. Or you could join the program as a site first, where you offer your location, where you would basically get into an agreement with a sponsor. You wouldn't necessarily have to worry about paperwork in that case, but you would basically offer that safe location for children to gather. As I said, many organizations decide to, and this is something that we sometimes recommend, if they're not sure about the program, if they can handle it or not, they decide to come on as a site first. That means they will go and find a sponsor in their area, and they will offer their location. That will give them an opportunity to get their feet wet, if that's the right way of saying it, to just see how the operation goes and see if that's something that they would want to get into in a deeper level the following year.
We at the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, being a sponsor, there are several different sites that you can have. An open site, enrolled site, or a camp. With the open sites, you're able to serve up to 2 meals a day. It can be any combination except lunch and dinner. So you could have breakfast and lunch, breakfast and a snack, or lunch and a snack. Most of our sites are open sites. That way we're not enrolling children, and we use area eligibility, which Omer will go over a little bit later. Activities are optional, but I would say most times are recommended. But if not able to do an activity, just that you're able to make sure a child gets something to eat, whether it be breakfast and lunch, or a snack or so forth. The next slide is just a picture of one of our sites in Lancaster. That's the summer feeding site. Bill, would you mind just commenting a little bit on this particular site? This is Benchmark, I believe.
Sure. This is one of our sites in Lancaster. It's a Benchmark. They have anywhere from 10 to 20 kids during the summer. It's a weight room. It's a workout program. Kids can get homework help, even job training. They can learn to become, personal trainers. It's a great site for kids. They really love it.
Thank you, Bill. The next slide is our enrolled sites. Again, you may serve up to 2 meals a day and any combination of meals except for lunch and dinner. And we'll explain why a little bit later. Again, activities are optional, but are preferred. But again, the main focus is to be able to feed children in need. 50% of the enrollment must qualify, which we're talking about 50% of children eligible for free and reduced price meals, and you must be able to prove eligibility of these children at these sites, at an enrolled site. Camps. Now this is where you're able to serve 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner at a camp, because usually most of the children are there for the entire day. Activities are required. We have a Boys and Girls Club here in Harrisburg that has 3 different sites, and we also have the Salvation Army that is a camp. These children are there for breakfast in the morning. They arrive like 7 o'clock in the morning, and then we actually will feed them lunch and feed them dinner around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it is a long day, so they're definitely getting well fed. Reimbursement is only for the children that can prove eligibility. So for like the Boys and Girls Club, it comes from several different school districts. So what we do is we get information from the school district listing the eligibility of the children, whether they're getting a free or reduced price meal that are attending that camp. And the next slide, Omer, I'll have talk about the eligibility standards, if you would, please.
So this is where the type of site comes into play. What we call open sites are sites that are in an area where eligibility is 50% of above. And there's two ways of determining this eligibility. One would be through the school district data. So if the school district of the location is one that has 50% or more of an eligibility, or if any school building in that school district is over 50% or over the eligibility criteria, that qualifies this site to be an open site. I may be speaking foreign language to some of the audience that don't know what open site means. It's a location where kids will come and eat, and regardless of their income level, all meals served to these kids, all reimbursable meals, I should specify, are going to be reimbursed by the state agency. So you don't have to worry about if the children coming through the door are eligible or not. There's also a little bit less paperwork to be included with that. The main paperwork that you will not have to worry about is the income eligibility application form, or the household free and reduced priced meal application form, as we call it. So school district data is one way of determining eligibility. The other way of determining it is through the census data, we call it. And that is determined by, obviously, census that gets collected every so often. And there is a website where you can enter the address of the location, and it'll tell you if the location will be eligible to become an open site or not. At any point, if you have questions regarding a location, please feel free to contact any one of us. I do this on a daily basis. I look at school district data or through the census data to let sponsors or potential sponsors know if the location will be eligible or not. Again, for open sites, you don't have to worry about eligibility. For locations, as Dave mentioned a minute ago, where eligibility does come into play, like camps or enrolled sites, the two ways of determining it is through the income application forms that the parents fill out. It can be determined, or you can get a letter from the school district that the kid attends to determining the kid eligible, because obviously the schools have this information as the kids sign up for the school year. And that's how it gets determined.
And could you mention just briefly about the capacity builder map?
The capacity builder map is something that USDA have created. It's a very nice map where it's similar to your Google map. Actually, you would enter your address to the little search bar, and it'll bring up the map as two colors. There's a blue color and a pink color. If your location ends up being in the pink section of this map, that means your site will be eligible as an open site. There is one exception to the rule where if your census block is 40% of or above eligibility, and if the 3 surrounding blocks are high enough where the average will go over 50%, that is one way of getting around the obstacle of ending up in a block that is blue in color. And again, it's probably a bit confusing the way I explain it, but feel free to contact us at any time that we can give you more detail on this.
Great tool. It does help us determine, where a site is by putting their address, and where, if they're in the red or shaded area, then it's one that's eligible automatically. So
it's capacitybuilder.org as far as I remember, or maybe areaeligibility.org. The map takes a little bit of time to load up and show the colors that you want, so I'm not sure if we ended up putting anything in there that will show up now, but we can try.
Save that.
I'm pretty sure it's capacitybuilder.org. Did anything come up? No. No. So let's see if I can get it back here. Or it might be the one that was on the slide. That might be it, yeah. saved on my favorites, so for me it's rather easy to find. And so there will be a little search box appearing here in a minute. No, I don't think it's that way. I think it's going to be down there exactly.
It's up top, right-hand corner up top. No.
Again, it gives
Yeah,
you an
it takes
idea.
a minute to load. That's why I'm usually.
That's okay. We can just say, and we can send.
There
this
it is.
information.
There it is. There you go. There's the search box.
Yeah.
Why don't we could utilize 1901 Dairy Street, Harrisburg, PA.
So this is if you're having a location in mind and you want to find out if it would qualify as an open site or not. You put the address in as we just did. And you want to click that little box that says fiscal year 17, CACFP, SFSP eligibility. It's fourth down, yeah. Yeah, exactly. By clicking that box,
There you see it's in the red.
the colors are there, and it's pinkish in color. If you zoom out, you will actually see blocks that are blue, if there are any, in the surrounding area. Again, it takes a minute for the colors to appear because it takes a minute to upload all this information, all this data.
Very good. And we'll send you that live link as well.
Exactly.
And then you
So-
can see that whole area is eligible.
Yeah, it's eligible, so that gives it eligibility. If it is in a blue, it's not. That doesn't mean that you can't have an open site there. The second step would definitely be looking at the school building data, because as I mentioned, some school buildings, see there's blue right next to it. It's gonna appear here in a minute, and that's pretty cool. Let's say the school district is 40, maybe a little less. If we look at the school buildings that make up the school district, and there's one that is over 50%, that still qualifies the whole district. So there's ways of determining eligibility. I like to do anything in my power to help sponsors, obviously, because at the end that would translate to kids getting some meals.
Right, because it could be a matter of a block across the street might not
Exactly.
be eligible, but you can work it out where you're able to feed those children in one way, shape, or form, and that's what the food service program is delegated to do. So,
Very good.
thank you. The next slide was just a review of the types of sites, as we mentioned, opened, enrolled, and of course a camp. And at these sites, these are just where children eat the meals, and you must have a trained site supervisor must be present. It doesn't have to be a paid person. It could be a volunteer. There's just a little bit of paperwork. They just have to make sure that they are documenting the children are taking the complete meal and are present to eat and are eating at the site. As I mentioned, they must be counted as they're served. Activities, they're arts and crafts, some recreational, even educational. A lot of school districts have summer school, which also counts as an activity. Parks and Recreation will take their kids to go swimming and so forth, just to draw children to the site so they're able to take advantage of the meal. And they can be indoor and they can be outdoor. It does not, there's no preference of that. So a lot of times the outdoor activities are a lot of fun, and the indoor activities are usually educational. With the next slide, all the sites, we want to make sure you're at a safe location. Practice food safety, which would be making sure that the temperatures of the food meet the required temperatures. The site supervisor, make sure there's good health practices. You want to make sure your site is able to accommodate the number of children that you're expecting to serve. If you're expecting to serve 75 children, you might need more than one site supervisor or a couple other volunteers to help. It's definitely advantageous to have more people there because some of the younger children, maybe 3, 4 years old, might need a little bit of help opening their milk or something like that. And as a sponsor, as we do, we must monitor these sites always during the first week of operation and then within the first 4 weeks of the program. Now, some sites operate 1 week in the summer, some operate a month, Some operate the whole summer. Some only do 3 days a week. Some may only do 1 day a week. It just depends on the site. We're very open to, as a sponsor, however that site wants to operate, as long as they follow the guidelines that are set forth to them to be a site. So we'll try to help them out as much as possible. The next slide is just the types of allowable meals. As I mentioned, you cannot do lunch and supper unless you are a camp. So you could do breakfast and lunch, breakfast and a supper, breakfast and a snack, or lunch and a snack. So that's just basically the idea. In order to be able to do lunch and supper, camps usually do breakfast, lunch, and supper. So we'll just give you the allowable parts of a meal. Milk, 8 ounces of milk. If it's going to be a flavored milk, it must be fat-free. Must be served at 41 degrees or lower. Usually we have refrigeration units or some type of holding unit to make sure it is 41 degrees or lower. And it's served at all the meals except for a snack. The next component, just to give you what breakfast is, you would need 3/4 of a cup of cereal or a slice of bread as a grain for breakfast, 8 ounces of fluid milk, and 1/2 cup or 4 ounces of fruit and vegetable. For the lunch and supper, these are the 5 components that are offered for lunch and supper. Milk is a requirement for all meals, just so everyone is aware of that. If you're going to be a sponsor, you would have to make sure you include that in your menu planning. Basically, as a sponsor, our vendor works very closely and develops the meals that meet all the components and meets the requirements, because you will be monitored by folks from PDE or USDA just to make sure you're in compliance with all the regulations with the meal prep. So the next slide just talks about meal service. You want to make sure you're holding and serving the meals at the correct temperatures. If any cold food should be 41 degrees below or colder. Any hot food should be 135 degrees or higher. You want to make sure the number of meals available meet the cap that PD has set place in you. If you are a sponsor, that they've set place in your application. You will be given a Justice for All poster, so you do not discriminate. You have to determine a protocol for excess meals. PD allows 2% of all your meals served. You can serve 2% of seconds. We find it very difficult to determine who would get, that second meal. So a lot of times we're just serving meals and hopefully have the count as close as possible. Want to make sure your food is not damaged or spoiled, because we wouldn't want anyone to get sick. And then we just have a couple slides with just what the a meal would look like. So does anyone have any questions or comments? Diane, do you have any comments at all?
Hi. The only comment I'd like to make is, at this point, if there are schools on, well, 2 things, whether there's schools on or not. We have about 650 public school sponsors, and in summer feeding, there's only about 100 of those that become sponsors. So we do see that disparity and that area that can be captured, knowing that those schools are in needy areas. And sometimes we find that schools don't participate, and maybe some people in general don't participate, is, they're worried about staffing at schools. School ends, staffing is completed at the end of the school year, but it's also an outlet for those that would like to continue working through the summer. So that's a possibility, and people often think staff don't want to do that. Sometimes staffing in general can be a problem. Who will manage the site? But we've found, and Dave, I think you can speak from experience, that that doesn't always become the top issue, but it can be an issue. Right. It's a concern, I guess I should say. One of the other things is schools may have a food service management company managing them during the school year. and they feel that they can't add another program. And so I want to say that that's absolutely not the case. The general contract that a school has with the management company has a clause for adding other child nutrition programs, and unless the sites, the total sites, the sponsorship would be extremely large, hundreds and hundreds, it usually doesn't have a material change to the contract. And so we here ask for a little bit of information, validate that, and that becomes a non-issue if schools that have a management company contract really do want to participate. So I kind of wanted to just say that those issues or concerns, we can help overcome those. And so if you're not a school, the other thing that becomes important is, I think what started the presentation is the fact that, you know, we feed in schools many, many children, but when those sessions end, hunger doesn't take the vacation like the school students do. And so we look to other than schools to be sponsors, especially in those areas where where it can be manageable. You know, parks, YMCAs, the playgrounds, anything that sparks your interest can usually become a site, as long as it meets some of the things that Dave mentioned, you know, safety being one of the biggest concerns. So those that might be struggling with, should I, shouldn't I, can I, can't I really like to do this, but, you know, talk to Dave or people running the sites. Give us a call. We'll give you some contacts here at PBE so you can see that it becomes a very easily manageable program.
Thank you, Diane. One thing you find out with school districts is a lot of their food service staff, they're 180-day employees. They're the same as the students, or maybe a few more days. Some school districts don't have the luxury of having their food service director or manager be a year-round employee. And if they are a year-round employee, there is no reason why they would not be able to do the summer feeding program.
Absolutely.
All right. Very good. There's a question that just came in that will direct question from Tawanda. Thanks so much. The question is there an alternative to milk that is able to be served when it's extremely hot? Since some children are in camp all day, and Dave, I can see him. I know what the answer.
This is a major question that we always come across, and no, milk is the requirement for each meal. The best thing to do is keep it as cold as possible. A lot of folks have asked for juice, asked for water. They don't meet the requirements for the beverage, as you know, for us, milk is the requirement.
Very good. All right. Continue.
Okay. Just to talk about the flexibility, as I mentioned before, you may even serve up to 7 days if you see a need. We basically here at the food bank have served up to 6 days at some sites so far at this point. There are some sites that do a Saturday. As I mentioned, you could be hot or cold meals. I also mentioned about doing 1 day a week, the whole summer program, or just a month. Whatever the site would like to see be served, we can do that for them. Field trips are allowed, but if we're being a sponsor, we need to notify the Pennsylvania Department of Education when the children will not be on that site. They may take the meals with them, but we need to let them know, because they will also be sending out monitors to make sure everything is running smoothly. Just want to mention that food has to be eaten in a congregate setting. There has been talk about that being changed in the future, but that's still on the table. There's a possibility you might reach a few more children if it was not in a congregate setting, but they must eat in a congregate setting. And the site supervisors must be able to see the children eating, as you can see in the following slide. This would give you an idea of what a congregate setting would be. And you can see it looks like most of the food is being eaten, which is a good thing. We like to promote, make sure the food that you are serving is nutritious, but also the children like what you're serving. And then I just have a few things to end up with the rules that are most commonly violated. As you must make sure there is a site supervisor present during the meal service time. Of course, we just talked about children must eat on site. Milk must be served, as we mentioned in the question that was asked, except for a snack part. They must follow that meal pattern. The site supervisor must count and document all meals to support reimbursement for the sponsor. So which means if you have 25 kids, you must be able to document that 25 children ate at the site on that given date. And if you are a sponsor or would like to become a sponsor, you need to update pairs, the application, and we find that we're updating our application for our sites almost on a daily basis, either adding a site or a site is going on a field trip or a site, stops, in the middle of the stream. We had a site last year where the person that was running the site, they had to leave town because someone got ill in their family. So we had to close the site because we could not get a volunteer to substitute for her. So, and then just a review for some general rules to follow. The meal pattern as we went over, you need to follow that. Again, serve milk at all meals. Make sure your site follows health and safety regulations. Again, we want to make sure there's a site supervisor present. And again, make sure the children eat at the site. And you're counting your meals as they're distributed. And if you have to establish eligibility, make sure that that is correct. The figures are correct because they will be checked by Pennsylvania Department of Education. Does anyone have any other questions?
Question from Lucinda came in, and she asked whether this program will be available in Schuylkill County.
This program is available throughout the state, so the answer is definitely yes.
All right, very good. And, all right, very good. All right, any other questions out there?
Now, having said that real quick, what was the name? I'm sorry.
Lucinda.
Lucinda, if you have questions regarding your location or whatever else, as I mentioned, feel free to contact me. I can give you my contact before we separate here, so you can easily contact me and get your answers. Please, feel free.
All right.
I believe the next steps would be if you wanted to become a sponsor, might be best to contact OMER and the Pennsylvania Department of Education. If you're looking to become a site, which you could become a site of the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank, and if we are able, which I think we will be able to in our 27 counties, with the addition of another vendor up northern tier of our counties. My contact information is on the next slide. You can give me a call or you can email me and we will help you out. And then for the folks up north, Pam Hicks is the contact person in the northern tier, and her email address would be basically the same as you see there, only it would be phicks@centralpafoodbank.org.
All right. Let's see there. Okay, question is, she is the case manager for Tri-County Community Action, and her office is located in the residences at Governor Square. We participate in the Elder Share program through Central Pennsylvania Food Bank. However, the property is not nonprofit. Can we have this program at this location? We have this space for the children to eat. All right, so the question is basically if the agency is nonprofit.
You can be a site in this situation. You cannot be a sponsor. In other words, you wouldn't be able to be the organization that gets into the agreement, but you can serve as a site under a nonprofit sponsor if the location is eligible as an open site. That is basically the answer.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
Very good. Let's finish up in a few minutes. If there are any questions, please send them our way. We will definitely share all contact information for Dave Lloyd, for Omer, for Pam Hicks, and anyone else participating. and Bill Simonson as well. You'll be receiving a follow-up presentation, and this wonderful webinar recording will be emailed to those that participated as well. Before we leave, before you exit out, there will be an evaluation that will pop up on your screen. So please take a few moments to fill this in to help us guide our next sessions and what our next steps would be for you to consider to be a site under Central Pennsylvania Food Bank or to be your own sponsor. So please take a few moments to complete that. It helps us plan for future webinars and future sessions. Another question just slid in. We have a playground program for July, and this is Sarah from Manna Food Pantry.
Yes, we would be able to, just for the month of July, if that's what you're looking for, we would be able to serve you. And yes, I know where that playground is, and that is in the an area that definitely has 50% or more free and reduced, and we'd be able to serve you as an open site, yes.
Okay. And her follow-up question from Sarah. She's located in Susquehanna Township, and the kids who go to the south side. So again, eligibility, and Dave can follow up with specific questions.
Yes, we'll definitely take a look, but I'm pretty familiar the area is eligible, and we will be able to feed your children at that playground site.
Okay, very good. Great questions, very good, thank you. Another one just slid in from Kevin. Kevin asks, how about a mobile site? We do a mobile feeding using our canteen truck. Wow. Last year, we were feeding about 50 meals a day. So his question is about a mobile site. So Kevin, Mayor's going to field this one.
As long as the criteria that were mentioned within the presentation are met, where you have a site supervisor present and you have a location set where if we were to come out and observe the meal service, you will be there at a certain period of time. You can have a setting where we have had buses turned into sites where they had tables in there, but again, it would have to be a certain location at a certain time, predetermined. Your location would have to be entered into pairs. That's our website where all the site location and agreement and stuff are entered in. As long as it's predetermined and you are there for the time and for the day, and you have a site supervisor present and all the other criteria met, definitely yes, that is not a problem at all.
Good. All right. Excellent. We're going to start wrapping up. We have about 15 minutes left, so we want to touch base with our panelists. Any final comments? Diane, Bill, Whitney, and Pam. Diane, any final comments and words of wisdom for our team, for our participants?
Just a little bit of what I mentioned earlier is that, keep in mind that, hunger doesn't take a vacation. So as Dave explained and Omer explained, really whether you choose to operate 1 day a week, 5 days a week, 1 week, many weeks, please consider what you can do for those children in your area that really need the service of summer feeding. And again, if there's any questions or we can help you with any concerns or hurdles, then let us know.
Very good. Thank you, Diane. Whitney, go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. And I would echo what Diane said. I mean, definitely with the meal gap, when these children are reliant upon, school food service to feed them their, main meal throughout the year, when that is missing, that is a huge detriment to children and the families. So having a program like this, even though it might seem like a bit more paperwork and staffing considerations, the benefit of making sure that children are fed over the summer months is of paramount importance, and to our communities and to the health of those children. So even though it might seem a bit daunting, I know that Dave is here and we're all here to make sure that everybody is comfortable moving forward, and that again is the project I'm really trying to put forth, that all the steps are here, so we can make it as easy as possible for people to sort of take up the helm and run these programs if they can, because they are of incredible benefit. And I know that the food bank does a wonderful job as a sponsor site, and we want to make it as easy as possible to get those meals to those children.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Whitney. Thank you so much. Bill, any final comments from you?
Sure. Just want to reiterate, some things that have been mentioned. I know we've thrown a lot of information at you, but if you want to be a site with the Central Pennsylvania Food Bank and you have a volunteer staff who can be there over the summer, whether it's 1 day a week, 7 days a week, it's really easy to be a site. We deliver the meals to you. It's free. So if you have kids who are hungry over the summer, we can certainly, get the meals to you.
That's very true. Excellent. Thank you so much, Bill. We try and make it as easy as possible. The great staff that we have here really work hard. And Pam, up north, come on, give us some comments about how this might work for some agencies in our northern tier.
We do have some, can you hear me, Maria?
Yes, thank you.
We do have some sites that are already participating in the northern tier. So I guess what I would recommend to anyone who may be interested is best practices. We can certainly reach out to those that are doing it and have been doing it for several months and years. And if you have any questions, I think the best way to get answered sometimes is directly through some of our partners that are already doing this. So we can certainly make those connections for you because they can put your mind at ease.
Very good. That's so true. Any of our participants out there, have you participated in this program before, the summer feeding program? Just shoot us a message if you have. You can raise your there's a little icon of a hand. Raise your hand if you have, and we can send folks your way to see those that have gone through it before. So we don't have to, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. All right, we have a couple hands. Lucinda in Schuylkill County, very good. All right, so what we have are some final questions. This is Michelle asking about for churches and Vacation Bible School.
Yes.
And Dave?
Yes, we do a lot of Vacation Bible Schools. They may only be as most of them are only a week at a time, but we, as long as it's in the area that's eligible or 50% free and reduced, we can feed them.
Okay, excellent. All right. We thank you all for your participation, those folks that joined us from Adams County all the way to York County, up north, Northumberland, Huntington, all the folks that joined us. Thank you for your participation. And we want to thank our panelists, especially Dave Lloyd, Omer, Diane, Bill, Whitney, and Pam. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this wonderful program to help feed kids during the summer. As I said, you'll be getting a lot of follow-up information, and we want to help you along the way. So thank you so much, and we're going to end our session. So thank you, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Pretty well, I thought.
You guys.
Somebody had stammered.